Well, we're going to cut us a decent hickory saw log. Not a veneer log. It's got little cat faces on it, but it'll make good lumber, good flooring. First thing we do, of course, is, you probably can't even see from here, we make sure the horses are way out of the way, which they are. Or your skidder, or your tractor, or whatever you're using. Then we decide where to fall it. I'm almost undecided. It's going to cause a little damage wherever it goes. So I got two options right here. Sacrifice that little maple. I don't think I want to do that. This is going to be the guy who owns this woods makes a lot of maple syrup. We want to keep the maple. Or directly behind that little spruce is going to come down, and so are those ash and stuff. We're going to follow it up into that area. I don't know. Maybe I'll go up there first and get those notched and ready to go. And when this falls, it'll hit them down, and that way we're less likely to split from the top down. Next thing, see if there's any dangers, and there's not. There's no widow makers or anything. So then we plan it out. My first plan is to get rid of this little ash tree so I can work comfortable. Probably gonna have to drive wedges, and this thing's gonna be right where I want to be. Ash is dying anyway. If this was a maple or a cherry, we'd probably leave it. But since ash is gonna be dead next year probably anyway, we're gonna cut that one. So that's what we got. We've discovered dangers. I'm gonna knock some snow down here. Probably gonna cut this a little lower than I often do on hickory. What the hell? One reason is the hinge wood's a little stronger down low where you got that curly grain as opposed to the straight grain. What we'll do is we'll make our notch. We're going to determine an escape path. My escape path will be right out there on the 45, nice and clear. And notch, back cut, hinge, you guys know the drill. We'll just get to work on it. Good. As I'm tightening my chain a little here, we'll talk about hickory. It's about the hardest species around here to cut. People split it. You know, some good loggers have a hard time with hickory. You gotta do everything right. That's all there is to it. You know, I got a friend who's a terrific horseman. He only has one arm, and he knows every trick, and he just has a good way around horses. And he'll handle a rowdy horse with only one arm better than any of us can with two. And I always say about my friend Rusty, he has to handle a horse the way the rest of us should handle a horse. And that's what I'll say about Hickory. You have to cut Hickory the way you should cut maple and oak and the other hardwoods we have around here. If you don't, you're going to be in trouble. Trees are going to split. They're going to go sideways. You're going to get hurt. You have to do it right. I'm smiling a little because usually the first step is to have a good sharp saw. And I did have not long ago. I don't know if it's sharp right now, and I'm a long way from the files up there with the horses. What I did, I trimmed a path to those last couple trees, and you're pretty likely to hit the ground when you're trimming a path for horses. But I think it should work. It shouldn't be like stupid dull. Well, I guess here we go. Okay, you have to cut hickory the way you should cut other species. I'm not quite sure I like where that notch is aimed. When you make the notch, let's get this right out of here. Your cuts have to line up. They call those Dutchmen if your cuts don't line up. I don't know if the Dutchmen near you use chainsaws or not, but that's not why they call them Dutchmen. It's not because of the Amish. I'm making a bad joke. You want those cuts to line up. Now, I like to make my notch a little deeper in the log than like the game of logging or some of these places teach you. I always tell people, if you're splitting firewood, if this is a chunk of firewood, you're hitting in the middle and you can't get it split with a P-tunk, a maul, come out to the edge, about 2 inches in from the edge, bang, you're going to split that piece right off easily. It's the same with this. If my notch was here, me and my sticks, if my notch was here, and that's how some people make notches, it's going to split a damn lot easier than it is in there. About 1/5 of the way through the tree is what I like to do. But I'll tell you what, since I like to be fairly precise, I got to look at this again. Stand back and get a view. I'm not just sure I like that notch. It's going to go where it's notched. I guess it should be okay. The bulk of the top is on this left-hand side. It should go about where I want. My goal, if you turn around, Nick, that spruce tree that I set up and I cut and it's going to fall, my goal is the main stem of this to hit that spruce tree or come damn close to it. I think I'm aimed just a touch to the right of it. I probably should adjust my notch a little. Maybe I will. I can just about guarantee I'm going to have to run and fetch more wedges. We'll try with what we have first. That's a heavy top and it's leaning the wrong way. By God, it's going to work. My dad was a logger before me. Outside escape path with the camera. Yeah, my original notch was correct. If I didn't mess with that notch, I would have went right where it was supposed to. As it is, it's no issue. It's fine. It just didn't, just my pride a little bit. I would have liked to have it a little more to the right. What we did here, I'll show you. Right here. This was my original notch. Right through here. And if you look out ahead of us, I would have put that tree right where I wanted. Somehow I didn't like that. I adjusted that notch over into here a little bit more, and it went, that's why the tree went about 4 feet to the left. But whatever, it's down. Didn't hurt anything, it all works, but I just like to be accurate. Timber when the tree fell. Stupid story. My dad was a logger. When I was a little kid, I remember going in the woods. They always say that I was born in May. In September, my dad was supposed to be watching me and took me to the woods and had me sitting in the truck, and he'd go by with a hitch and check on me every once in a while. And I would threw the keys out the window then too. And this is, you know, back in the 70s before cell phones. But anyway, I've been around it a long time, and my dad would always let me yell, timber, every time he fell a tree. Thought it was cute. I probably did that until I was 20 years old. And I mean, professional logging, cutting 30 trees a day, and I'd yell, timber. I thought it was a necessity. I just, silly about it, I guess. But back to, quit reminiscing and back to what we're doing here. Let's evaluate this stump. If you look, my hinge wood was just the right length, width rather. Little bit wider here, which also attributed to that tree going a little to the left, but I didn't pull any fiber any more than a couple inches. Didn't split anything. Corners of my notch were cut. Center was cut out. I like the depth of that notch. If you guys can envision, if this notch was only cut there, that tree could have easily split. And I'm telling you, a lot of modern loggers only cut there, and that's about what the Game of Logging recommends. They don't talk about depth of notch. By and large, I really like the Game of Logging and agree with what they teach, but they don't talk about depth of notch. They talk about length of hinge. Well, I would have had a long length of hinge here, the same as I have here almost. Plenty of length of hinge, but it wouldn't have, it still would have split. So get that notch in there, about 1/5 of the tree. So, well, preaching is over. We'll get this trimmed up and down to the land. And I guarantee you one thing, Nick.
Huh?
We're only taking this tree behind that young horse. We don't need 2 of these. Hickory's heavy stuff. All right, folks. We have a 10-foot butt log, a 12-foot second log. That's all we're going to get out of this tree. And we're going to leave this as one piece even after we get to the landing, because Hickory splits so bad. We're going to cut it right before a log truck gets here and give it less of a chance to check and split. We'll probably pound a truss plate in the butt of that to keep it from splitting even more. But if you look right here, this is the end of the logs, this little mark I made. If you look here, there's going to be a lot of pressure on there, which is one reason that I was so careful about falling this tree. I didn't want to get hung up into another tree and have this get hung and the main stem fall down and split that darn thing all the way to the butt. But there's going to be a lot of pressure here. Now you can imagine when I'm cutting, there's a scissors type action with pressure. I can pinch that chainsaw pretty easily. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to cut half of this. To relieve that pressure, I'm less likely to get my saw pinched. The next thing I'm going to do, this is where I should make my 12-foot log, the end of my 23-foot cut. I'm actually going to come up into here a little bit, and we'll trim it back later. The further up into the defect, or the other side of a defect you get, the less likely hickory is to split. So I guess I'll go ahead and apply that stuff. Did you see that pressure? And the pressure as I fell that. That's actually how I hurt my ankle with a much smaller piece. But anyway, that pressure would have, like I said, scissors action and caused me to pinch this saw. Again, I'll say it once more, this mark is where we're going to sell that log, but we cut up in there a little farther into the defect so it's less likely to split. Well, son, here's the plan. We're going to trim a little path right through here. You're going to drive the horses in there and out there, and we're going to have us a nice hickory. Let's say you fetch the horses and I'll trim you a path.
Okay.
10-4, good buddy.